right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, the show where we guide you through creating generational wealth through real estate. My name is Hector Hernandez. I am a real estate fund manager as well as a real estate coach here on reallifetrading.com. Joining me today, as always, my buddy, my pal, the best looking real estate investor of 2022. Unfortunately, he did not get the title 2023 yet. We'll see what happens. Luis Alejandro Lopez. Tell us, brother, what's on the agenda for the day? I love the title, by the way.
Yeah. Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Luis Alejandro Lopez. I'm a real estate coach and real estate investment coach here in Real Life Trading. And we usually are second and last Fridays of each month, we do our show and we try to show you different ways where you can use your money. You can start investing in real estate. You can use your time. You can use your knowledge. You can use your contacts to start making additional money in real estate. Okay, so what do we have today? Jensen, she is a shark dealing with land. I have no idea how to deal with land. Every time I see land, I see some bushes, and I see plants, and I see headaches, and I don't understand it. However, for what I understand as well, you can make a lot of money, double-digit returns on land. Even better, what do you have to maintain in land? Is there toilets? No. Is there tenants? No, there's really nothing. So it's a great way to get your hands into it. Land is usually cheaper than buying something with a structure. And as long as you have some buyer, hey, why not? So that's what we're gonna be looking into today.
And you know what's amazing now that you say that you don't have tenants and you don't have toilets. I just recently had to complete an eviction on one of my single family homes in the portfolio. Fortunate enough that I was able to be out of town while it was happening because my team was running it, property manager and handyman took care of the actual eviction process, which was fantastic because the word that I got right after is that the sheriff ran out of the house, not thrilled with the fact that his legs were covered in fleas. Yeah, that's right. It happens. It's not my first rodeo. I've definitely walked into a flea-infested house plenty of times in my life. I'm glad this time I was not the guy on the front line. Very fortunate that, you know, as business has grown, I've been able to grow my team. I've been able to put the right people in the right places so that I can be out looking at other deals that, you know, you guys may have seen either on social media or on Slack. I spent a beautiful day last Thursday with my buddy Craig Levine, traveling throughout the west coast of Florida, looking at deals. And meanwhile, this eviction was going on. Had it been total land, probably I wouldn't have had to do an eviction, right? It's kind of hard to squat on a patch of land.
Yeah, you got your squirrel out.
You know, I do love my cash flow. I absolutely love my rentals. It's kind of you know, one of my favorite parts about real estate. But I'm excited to learn today from the land queen herself. I can't wait.
All right. So wait. Disclaimer. Again, how many times I have to say this? You guys are the ones that are gonna be buying the property. It's your money, it's your clicks, it's your signature. Please research what you're doing. Okay, please just look good into it. If it's too good to be true, most of the time it is. Okay, just research, ask questions. We're here. You can reach out to us, you can reach out to anybody else. Just don't go and do something crazy, click twice and buy a house that is not there. I saw it this week. Don't do it.
But it's exciting, bro.
It is. Since we're here, let's buy something. You know, let's buy a pair of shoes. I mean, okay. Now, the presentation, again, is intended to be educational and entertainment. We want you to guys do some real estate. We want you to guys some deals. Okay, just think ahead. And again,
deals.
If you have any questions, please, we're there. You see the QR codes? We're getting fancy. QR codes for Luis, QR code for Hector. You scan it, you get all contact information. If you see something that might be looking good for you, that you don't understand, that you have any questions, reach out. We're here. Text, WhatsApp, Slack, whatever it works. If you want to comment on the YouTube video, comment YouTube video. We'll do that as well. And we'll give you our email and all the rest of the information later on today.
I'm excited, dude. It's deal season again. You know, for the longest time, we've been kind of, you know, obviously submitting a lot of offers, but getting very little deals. But my deal flow is strong again. The tides are turning. Sellers are kind of realizing that rates are high. insurance rates are high, interest rates are high, property values have shifted. And so cash flow plays are starting to work again. So, for a long time, a lot of you guys have been reaching out, asking how you could get involved on some of our deals, participating in a passive manner, whether as a lender or just as a limited partner. So here's our contact. The deal flow is coming in strong, guys. Reach out. If you scan that QR code, you can not only fill out my investor sheet, but you could also get on our calendars, either one of our calendars, both of us. Make sure you reach out to us. These deals, when they do come around, they don't last long. And most of the time, we can only take capitals from people we know want capital. We don't have the time to go run around and telling everybody because they go quick. So please make sure you're on our radar, make sure you're on our calendar, make sure you're on our list so that when some good hot deals come on, you can be like this guy right here. I love that picture. That was just too funny. So I want to encourage you to definitely book a meeting with us. Make sure you let us know where it is that you're at, what it is that you're looking to what kind of deals you're looking to participate in, and so that we can keep you in mind as the deal flow comes in. So Johnny just posted a chart.
Just posted something. Let's see. So Johnny moved the stop loss. So we're talking Apple. And maybe, Johnny, you moved your stop loss to 180, 152.
I will tell you right now, but it looks like he also hit target, that 25% target right there on that chart. Yes. That's beautiful. Congratulations, team. If you're on Johnny's Apple trade. Yep. Target one finally hit with exclamation mark. It's what Johnny just posted on Slack. Bam.
Nice.
The current stop looks like it's 181.52. Yes, sir. 181.52. And Johnny took a good chunk there. Amazing. Good job, Johnny. I wish I was here a little earlier. I could have taken that trade.
I'll take that one too.
FOMO.
Hey, it happens. No worries. No worries. Let's talk about real estate. That's what we're here for.
Yes. All right. What you got?
All right. What else do we have here? Let me go back to my slideshow. Miss you, Tony. Miss you, Johnny. I've been running around for 2 weeks. I'm finally gonna start trading probably Monday. I'll trade some. All right.
It's real estate season. Yes, sir. Yeah, so ultimate partnering event. I mentioned this to you guys last week. I'm gonna mention it again. A lot of you guys have also been asking us, how do you get in the room? How do you meet other people, other syndicators, other real estate investors besides Louis, myself, and Jansen that you can invest with in a passive way? Some of us want to be active. Some of us don't want to be active. This is the Ultimate Partnering Conference from my buddy, David Lindahl, from RE Mentor. This is an epic conference that goes on. This year is going to be in California, San Diego. So beautiful weather. If anything, you're just going to be hanging out. They've done a couple cool things for us here. They're doing the early bird special. They've given us a promo code. If you type in Hernandez at checkout, you get an extra $200 off. I think it brings the ticket just below $800. And you get to bring a free guest. So that's like BOGO deal, right? And I love BOGO deals. I love shopping at Publix. Sometimes I don't really need the cookies, but they're buy one, get one, and I'm gonna get some cookies.
They're right there. If you're there when you buy something, right?
Why not, right?
That'll be the phrase of the day.
So we're here, just buy something. So go ahead and scan that QR code if you want to jump on that and make sure. I don't know how long the early bird special is going to go. I don't know how long he's going to keep that extra $200 that he's giving you guys for using promo code Hernandez, my last name. But as long as it lasts, it's there. I will keep reminding you guys until he takes it away. What can I say?
All right. So here we are. Look at that picture. Jansen.
Wow. Were you a model at one point, Jansen? Real question.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was. I'll model some real estate for you. I'll do that.
There you go. Hey, it's real estate people, right? We just love our real estate cash flow.
Exactly. So I am super excited to hang out with you guys. Hector, you are just a joy to chat with every single time you get together. So I've been looking forward to this for a while. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to come on. So for you guys, I've known Jansen probably for about a year now, a little over a year. She's in the same mastermind as myself. And it's just, she's a world of knowledge. I had the privilege of talking to her multiple times, one-on-one, and a lot in the mentorship, in the mastermind. And she just knows so much about land. It's mind-blowing. I don't even know how one person can know so much about real estate and land itself. So I'm really excited to have her share that knowledge with you all. So Jansen, give you a little bit of background. I think I mentioned this, but just so you know, live here, we got a bunch of stock traders, right? So they do trade the stock market. They're option traders, futures traders, everything you can think of when it comes to the stock market. And a lot of them have been wanting to learn how to get some of that cash that they make in the stock market and buy some hard assets with, either for, for the future, for the generational wealth, for some of the tax benefits, but for many other reasons, right?
Yeah.
And so what we try to do here is just put different perspectives, right? Louis and I, invest in cash flow deals, fix and flip, fix and rent. We buy apartment buildings, houses, but we always want to bring other people, other perspectives, and other ways of investing, right? And we don't know it all for sure. So much to learn. So I'm eager to learn from you today. And then this will go out to YouTube land, and there's a bunch of other traders that watch it, but then there's other people that are just, fans of real estate that keep tabs on us and the YouTube land and the social media. So please take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. So once again, thank you so much for having me. My name is Jansen Young. I've been in real estate for not a long time. It's about 5 years now. With my husband. And just like Luis and Hector, my whole passion in real estate is cash flow. That is what I want. And it may sound a little counterintuitive for vacant land, but I'm telling you, this is the easiest. Okay, easy is not a good word. It is the most simplistic and straightforward method to collecting cash flow that I've experienced. I do own multifamily properties. Mine are much smaller. So I have some 4-plexes, 5-plexes, a couple of duplexes in my belt. And that's what my husband used to retire back in the day. So my husband retired about 3 years ago using with multifamily properties that we had acquired, and he lives off of that cash flow. And right about that time, we were looking to acquire some more assets, but, I don't know where you were, 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago, but real estate went ballistic. So for us to find additional properties, it was really, really challenging. So we actually tapped into our network. We went back to our real estate investment association, our local RIA, met up with some investors there, and a speaker came and talked about flipping vacant land. I was already there knowing I was going to have to flip a house, do some wholesaling or something to get more cash to afford these apartments. But the land really piqued my interest, really for 3 reasons. The first being, it was a group of about 300 people or so. And the speaker asked, how many of you guys are here flipping houses, buy and hold for multifamily property? How many of you are here for storage units, all of those things? Of course, every hand is up, and said, all right, put your hands down. And then he asked, how many of you are here for vacant land? And there were only 3 people that raised their hands. And I'm like, well, yeah, because it's terrible. But he turned around and he's like, guys, that's your competition. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And for my business, because I was so fast paced in the corporate world where I was at, we had 2 small children at the time. I did not have the capacity to, be the first person to answer the phone or run out and evaluate the property right away. I needed slower competition so that I could afford to, take my time and actually enjoy my passive lifestyle. So I guess the other part of my story was, once we kind of realized we could take our time with vacant land, it just made a lot more sense for us. Also the idea that, when you see a house, you can have 2 houses right next door to each other, exact same subdivision, 3-bedroom, 2 baths. They could be wildly different in value once you open up that door. So you always have to have boots in the ground. They don't have to be your boots, but somebody's got to be able to be your eyes and ears about a property.
Yep.
And for me, for vacant land, you just go to Google Earth. You know, I know you guys were talking about before. Yeah, oh yeah, you went to Google Earth and the house looked beautiful, but that was a year ago. Guess what? My land looks exactly the same. And if you blow down some trees, you just improved my property. So it works out fine for me. I love the fact that it truly can be a remote endeavor. And then
that's amazing. I do love that part about land for sure. That's always been appealing.
Exactly. But circling back to that original point, Hector and Luis, of why I'm here, it's cash flow. So once I kind of figured out how you can cash flow vacant land, I sort of just gave up on the multifamilies for my own personal portfolio. I still participate in some syndications because I don't want to deal with all the phone calls and the contracts and the overruns. But for my personal portfolio, I only do vacant land for my cash flow now.
Wow. So I'm so excited to learn how you make vacant land cash flow. You know, when I think vacant land cash flow, I think, well, man, I got to make it a storage. I got to make it a truck parking or some sort of, you know, again,
provide some kind of service. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Something or other.
And you're right. There is a service involved. But we're going to one of the oldest services in the world, and that's being a bank. So for the land that we get under contract, either we'll retail it out and we'll just take cash or just a straight wholesale transaction, or we will sell that land on terms. Meaning, actually, let me walk you through a real life scenario, and maybe that'll make things make a little bit more sense.
That'd be perfect.
So we had a piece of property in the Orlando area. It's in a beautiful equestrian community. The lady was behind on her taxes. We didn't market to her for that reason, but we found out later she was behind on taxes. She actually had a couple of lots that she had inherited. She lived in New Jersey. She had nothing to do with Orlando. And, you know, she was just sort of letting everything go. She had already lost one of her lots to the tax man. So when we came along, you know, she called us her guardian angels for even offering to buy her property. We were able to pick up about 5 acres for $15,000. And within 45 days, we found a buyer for it for $60,000, which is a nice, not a bad payday. I'll take that.
Wait, hold on.
300%.
Oh, sorry.
Let's rewind on that math. You spend 15 grand, which, you know, it's not a minimal amount of money, but it's definitely less than you would need to buy a house for sure. Yes. There's not that many houses that you could buy for 15 grand across the country. I've done a couple in like Alabama and things like that, but for the most part, it's really undoable. And then you turned around and you sold it for how much again?
$60,000. But
wait,
the buyer didn't actually. So there's two things I want to point out. I didn't actually pay $15,000. Remember, I only got it under contract for $15,000. We hadn't gotten to closing yet. Okay. And so some people might be familiar with this whole idea of wholesaling, but really you just get the property under contract, but you don't pay for the property that day, right? You have inspections and all these things you got to do. So you might not close for 45 or 60 days. In the vacant land space, I don't enter into a contract unless I get 6 months to close that deal.
Wow.
So
okay.
Plenty of time for me to find another buyer. And honestly, if you don't find a buyer in 6 months, there's something that you don't know. So you should just let that contract go.
That makes perfect sense. Yes. Yeah. Wow. 6 months. I mean, yeah, if you can't find a buyer by then, just run.
Yeah. There's something going on there. You know, oil spills, eco problems, like just let it go. It's okay. There's more land out there. All right. So we got the property under contract. And by the way, these are not uncommon numbers. We generally do not pay more than, you know, in houses, they say you don't pay more than 70%. That's your maximum allowable offer, including your repairs or anything you have to put into the property. In vacant land, we're right around 30 to 40% is our maximum allowable offer. So it's not uncommon to get these properties quite low. And I'm not talking about, you know, trash wetlands or something like that. You know, this was in a gated community. It was an equestrian community. She just didn't want it, right?
And so
Yeah.
we provide the service of taking it off our hands. Once we were able to find the buyer, our buyer actually did not have $60,000 cash. So instead, we said, no problem. You give me $15,000 as a down payment, and then we'll go ahead and accept payments for the next 10 years. So we set up a cash flow stream for myself for, I want to say her payments were $900 on that. Oh no, it was less than that. I think it was like 600. And the reason why is we do charge ridiculous interest rates, right? If you try to go to a bank to finance land, it's not going to happen because banks feel exactly the way you guys felt a few minutes ago about vacant land. What do you do with it? Like there's nothing you can do. So it's very, very rare that a bank is going to borrow. So because of that void in the market, we're able to come in and charge a service, but we charge it at a premium. Right now, back then we were charging 12.9% interest. Now we are charging about 13.2% interest. It is, I say now, well, I've got to keep up with inflation, but
Not that bad. It's not that bad. That's
No.
about what we're paying our money loans for doing rehab in houses. So
Exactly.
technically, it's not so much of the market.
Yeah, I've definitely seen worse with land. I've
Yeah.
definitely seen some land guys out there doing a little bit higher. And you know, the bank itself, like you said, you'd be lucky if you get, you know, 50% LTV at a pretty high rate to begin with. If you're lucky, you got to look really good on paper for them to even want to loan you on land to begin with.
Yeah. And usually with those loans, those are construction loans. Generally, they want you to do something and improve the property. For our buyers, our standard mom and pops, this is their retirement plan. They're not going to build tomorrow, right? And they don't want that pressure to build tomorrow. So being able to offer them a pretty solid interest rate, they can pay over time and build up to their future, helping them create some generational wealth as well in the form of land banking. It's a win-win for everyone.
I love it. That's so good. So is your end buyer in these cases usually someone that's just, like you said, land banking, or are they actually going to turn around and build something and then refi you out? Or, you know, because obviously for you, it's a home run, right? You got your purchase price covered by your down payment.
Yeah.
And I've been able to do that before on houses, obviously, you know, many moons ago when the market was much more
reasonable.
And you could actually buy houses a little bit cheaper, you know. So I'm familiar with the seller financing strategy, but it's a house, right? So my buyers were usually moving in, and I, you know, they just could not, for one reason or another, get a regular loan, and they needed me for, you know, X amount of years until they build up their credit. A lot of times it's been military vets. They come back, they don't have established credit, they don't have good credit, they don't have established income, or you know, they just started a new job because they just came back from deployment, you know, all these sorts of things. Or just we had a couple that you know, were like single moms and things like that. They had great income, but you know, it wasn't justifiable to a bank. You know how banks can be with their stuff. So I'm familiar with that aspect, but again, they were getting a home. What does your end buyer usually look like?
So the buyer really depends on the type of property that we have. So for what we call infill lots, those are little lots inside of a development. Road is paved, electricity is there, you've got houses all around you. It's just one little lot was left over. For those shovel-ready infill lots, I could be selling that to someone who does want to build a house eventually on that property. And I like those because I only hold the note for a short amount of time, just enough time for them to get a construction loan together. So that could be, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years, and then they're cashing me out right away. And if you're comfortable with the amortization schedule on a loan, I really only want to lend my money out for those first few years anyway, because that's where all the interest is. So those work out really well. For those infill lots, I also work with a lot of boutique builders. So mom and pop custom home builders, they will buy those lots for spec homes, especially if it's in a development that they've already done work in.
Because they know the area, they're familiar, and instead of dishing out the full cash to buy it, they get it on terms from you. I like it.
I mean, I would love it if they did, but the folks in that world, my developers, my boutique builders, they usually have access to capital that's more affordable than mine. So I unfortunately have to take cash for those deals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of that takes away that long-term cash flow for you.
I know.
Yeah,
But I'll find
she
something
just
else.
multiplied her money for 400 in a matter of months. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
100%. She didn't get the gravy, you know.
Exactly. So to
Just the
answer your
mashed
question,
potatoes.
and the sides, exactly. So the second kind of property that we go after is what we call the outskirts. So think 45 to an hour outside of city center, 1 to 5 acres. So that equestrian lot I was talking about before, same kind of deal. We might see some people looking to do like our little ranchette, but 5 acres just isn't that big. So usually this is someone looking for their dream home, want to get out from COVID. By the way, 2020 was our best year. that was crazy. Of course, I don't want another pandemic to do that again, but it did work out really well for us. For those buyers, it tends to be much more of the independent buyers. That customer tends to be a little bit older. Usually it's the male that's driving that conversation. I don't know why it's so hard to get my ladies on board. Like, we're so creative, but usually it's the guy.
I think you're changing that, right? I think you're changing that. You're out there. I see you on the forefront.
Exactly. So okay, so those are my outskirts. And then I've got recreational land, more rural. So this could be about 2 hours outside of the city center, usually 10 to 50 acres. Usually these are folks who are really into hunting. Oh my gosh, my doomsday preppers, those folks got cash. And they don't take my financing.
But you'll gladly sell it on cash as well, right?
But yeah, those are really great buyers. You'd be surprised. But folks who just want to take their camper out and just enjoy nature. They don't even want electricity or utilities. They just want to enjoy the outdoors. Like, those are really great for those recreational or land out there. So it depends.
And those are larger lots you're saying, or those are still those 5 acre lots?
No, those are like our 10 to 50 acre lots. Those are usually much bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one of those segments do you like the best? Which and then why?
I like the one that makes money.
So all of them.
All of the above. But listen, I am selective because I've noticed over the years, really in our second year of doing business, when we did have our large bit of volume, you can do a lot of work and not make a lot of money, right? So I've done that 1 acre or that 5 acre lot that I just talked about. That was a $45,000 deal with like plus interest. At the same time, I did a 17 acre development in Georgia, this little town called Thomasville. It was actually phase 2 of a subdivision development. Phase 1 was already done up. Phase 2 was completely platted, approved by the county, and I only made $17,000 on that deal. So wow. It doesn't really matter the kind of property, it matters the kind of deal. And that's really the driver.
So it's all about the spread in the deal then.
Exactly.
Like we like to say, it's all about the numbers, right? Don't fall in love with the property, fall in love with the numbers.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then so just to clarify for everyone out there, because you mentioned a deal in Florida, a deal in Georgia. Mm-hmm. Where are you at? What state?
I call it the American smile. So anywhere from South or North Carolina down to Florida, across Texas, up to Cali. And I'll do some Nevada and Arizona thrown in there as well. But where the sun is shining and where people are moving, that's where I'm buying land.
Got it. Yeah. So you just avoid the cold.
It's more than the weather, it's migration patterns. So where people are moving, that's where home values and land values are going up. Land does not change. Land lags in price movement behind the housing market. So I'm really paying attention to what are house prices going for in different markets. Yep. I'm really close to that. And then I drive out about an hour and I start sending my offers.
So say that one more time. Can you repeat that for me?
Sure. So wherever I'm seeing metropolitan areas where there's growing home rates and growing populations, I'll go about an hour outside of that city center, and that's where I'm actively marketing for vacant land.
That's where you're looking for those horse ranches and all that stuff, basically.
Exactly.
Which is basically where I'm at right now in Georgia. I'm just on the north side of Atlanta, and that's what you see up here.
Yes, and I'm sure you've gotten a ton of letters if you've got well, you've got a house on it, but
yeah,
we're flooding you. We're trying our best.
Okay, so that's awesome. You bring me to the next point. How is it that you're finding these deals?
Yeah. And so our marketing is really similar to what you would do to market for houses. We rely heavily on direct mail. In all honesty, though, the response rates have gotten a little bit more challenging throughout the years as more people are understanding how this process works. And as land values have skyrocketed a bit, once they get my number, there's a little bit of a sticker shock. But follow-up is key. I would venture to say 90% of my deals are made on the follow-up. It's back when I first started 5 years ago, I could send blind offer letters and my phone would ring. Now, there's 4 or 5 touches before we can get to a signature.
That's very true. And when we were wholesaling a lot, that was such a big part of what I would always drag to the team is like, it's the follow-up. It's always in the follow-up game. We're not out here offering 100% of what they're seeing on Zillow, because everybody's going on Zillow. We're significantly lower. So that means it's about the follow-up game. It's about adding value to that person, like you said,
solving a problem for them, basically.
Exactly. You gotta solve that problem. So we got a question from Richie. Richie asks, if you're holding a note for vacant land for someone who wants to build on it, do you allow them to build while you're still holding that note?
That's a good question. On my promissory notes, I have a stipulation that it has to have the lender's approval to do that. I rarely grant approval. Usually I will grant approval just for well and septic, and that is it. And here's why. The argument is, if they start building on that property and they default, well, now you don't have land, you have land and a property. Okay, listen, my land buyers are very much DIYers. Okay, so I get code violations all the time. So if you are telling me that you're going to hire a licensed contractor and I see your scope of work and okay, fine, I'll approve it. My market is not doing that. So no, if you have enough money to build, you have enough money to buy me off. Please and thank you.
I like that. I like that because then you got mechanic liens, code violations with the DIYers putting up the shack with the solar panels. I can see that.
And it makes sense. She's allowing to do the plumbing and the
well and septic,
and the septic.
Well and septic is done by a professional
company.
company. I don't see many people DIYing a septic tank or a well.
Exactly.
I mean, at least I haven't seen them
yet. At least it's underground, so code enforcement can't get a hold of me.
They can't see it. Yeah, and as structure real estate investors, we absolutely are very familiar with code enforcement. I actually personally love code violations. I've made a ton of money solving those problems for other people, but I could see why you being the note holder on the land would not be thrilled with that.
Especially if the land it's in a different location. I mean, now she has to fix code enforcement stuff remotely.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be fun, like halfway across the country dealing with and then that kind of, these are definitely, like you said, some deals are smaller spread, and if you got to pay a local attorney a couple grand to solve a code enforcement issue for you, that's just no fun.
Exactly.
So Richie has a follow-up, and that he says, obviously, thank you on that question. In Florida, it's not sure if you default on a land mortgage, do you actually get the house too? If let's say that you did allow them to build, right? And then they default, on
Whoever
the
takes
land mortgage on
priority.
your mortgage, what happens with that? Oh, that's cool. That's very interesting. Yes.
Yeah, that is a really interesting question. So just like in your houses, when you buy a house, you buy a house and everything in it. When you have land and you've got a mortgage on that land, if I have to foreclose and take that property back, I take back the property and everything on it, including your house,
Because
your
you have
trailers, your boat,
Mhm.
and I get it all.
Because you have first position, right? You never give them you never take second position over the bank and construction.
I've never seen an instance, because the mortgage values are so small, I've never seen an instance where I would need to be in second position. Usually when a bank is coming in for the construction part of it, the bank doesn't want to be in second position either. So they just
So
pay
then
me
pay
out.
the land, they
They buy
pay the
you
land
out.
and give you out, buy you out.
Exactly.
Makes total sense.
That's cool. So I mean, obviously you get the good stuff that they leave, right? Like you said, the boats, the trailers. What about the bad stuff? Have you
Same.
tell us about some of the bad stuff?
What's your
Same.
karma house?
So we like to pretend that these boats and trailers are in prime condition. Dude, they abandon it. So no, it's not. But you know what? There's a buyer for everything. We actually ran into an issue. This was not my deal directly. I do, unfortunately, a lot of people just pay me cash. So I got to go out and do something with it. And in my case, I go to other land investors and I will fund their deals. I will buy their mortgages. I try to help them stay as liquid as possible, so they can run successful businesses as well. So I was in a joint venture with another lady who was flipping a piece of property, beautiful lot. But the neighbor had this hideous broken down trailer and an old car, and it was the folks would come up to come view the property. They'd see the junk on the neighbor's lawn, and it was just turning everybody off. So she was trying to call and figure out what we can do to get this stuff removed, like help out the neighbor or at least hide it or something.
Put a tree in front of it.
Exactly. There you go. So we looked at the license plate. We're trying to find, the person who owned the items. And then in the process of doing this, it was weird because the person that owned the items was the person that we had bought the land from. It's just like, why is your stuff on the neighbor's lawn? Like, can we have permission to like go to their lawn and take it off or whatever? The person was very difficult to work with, very unresponsive, and come to find out that second lot was on our deed. We accidentally bought 2 parcels and didn't know it. And so we went back to the buyer. We're like, did you mean to sign this over? And they're like, whatever, don't talk to me. We're like, okay.
Whatever the paper says.
So we accidentally got 2 pieces of property. And at that point, we were able to just remove the garbage ourselves. So, and it's not that expensive either.
Yeah. Trash house not that bad. But that's actually better than buying the house that wasn't a house. That's a good one, right, Lou? Like, yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's like a good
I'll take that one every day.
Exactly.
About 2 lots for one, right?
My bad. Yeah.
We did start this show talking about BOGO, right?
BOGO.
Buy one, get one lots. That's awesome. That's a really good one. I have not yet bought a house and gotten a free one yet. You got me beat.
We'll see. We'll keep going. You'll see. It'll happen. I'm putting it into the universe for you. It'll happen.
Let me ask you a question because I have it fresh now from the tax deed sale.
Yes.
If I buy something, you usually get into a contract and you don't close until 6 months until you find a buyer for it. So
Yeah.
what happens if I go crazy and buy a whole bunch of lots on the tax deed sale? Will you happen to have a buyer, or what do you look for in those lots? Because I could buy them and then start trying to sell them. And if not, let them go in 10 years again to tax deed or something.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So the way that I've approached that is I'll go back to the buyer. I'm sorry, not to the buyer. The person who owns the property now, whose property is going to tax sale, they're fully aware it's going to tax sale. I'm not going to try to save it at all, but I'll go to them and I'll pay them $100, maybe $200 just to take their position on the property.
Yeah, cash for keys.
Exactly. So I let the property go to tax sale and I let the county sell my property for me. And if it doesn't work, okay, I got a piece of property for $100. Like it's a gamble, right? Like that $100 is gone, but it's $100 or either thrown away or it's $100 for a piece of property.
Man,
That's dinner money, right?
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
these days that's
So-
probably like lunch at McDonald's, really.
I know.
That's not even a very
Exactly.
fancy lunch these days. So that's and you might get a piece of property. That's pretty cool. And then so
Yeah.
let me get this straight. If so they basically signed that deed over, so it's cash for deeds basically
Yeah,
almost,
Yeah.
right?
quick claim
And
deed, yeah.
you let the county go ahead and go through with the sale, and hopefully somebody like Lewis or somebody comes in, they pick it up, and then you get paid whenever that deed ends up selling at the end.
Exactly.
The
Precisely. So
overages.
I don't usually buy tax deeds just because I'm already buying at 30 to 40% of market value. My
Yeah.
entry point is so low. For my model, the spread is not great enough just because there's so much. Recently, there's been a lot more competition in the tax sales. But if you're going to buy that land and improve on it, it makes total sense to pay more than what I can pay, right? But if you're buying it just to flip it, I found that it's more profitable just to pay my $100, let it ride, see what happens. Maybe I get a couple thousand out of it, maybe not, but it's a couple $1,000s and I never have to market the property. The county does everything for me. It's like the one time I actually want the government to like be all in my business.
I love it. I love the way you put that.
Yeah, she puts 100. She puts 100 in red and let it roll it.
Yeah, let us see.
That's the roulette strategy right there, right? That's great. So, what are some of the risks that people might encounter with land? Obviously, you give yourself an amazing amount of time, and then you try to do all the work before you close, which is kind of, in a sense, what we teach people with wholesaling, right? Is if you can't find a buyer, you bail. Obviously, with wholesaling a piece of commercial real estate or a piece of residential real estate, your window is way shorter than 6 months. I have yet to find a seller that will give me 6 months to buy a house or an apartment building or any kind of commercial real estate for that matter. But for land, it is very typical. It is not unusual, even if you are going to actually close and build on it. Most people put very lengthy contingencies on it because they want to get that approval from the city, from the county, to do whatever it is that they're going to do, whether they're building a farm or a house. They need time. Most people don't just show up with cash, but boom, let me close tomorrow, unless they already have an idea of what they're going to do. So it's not crazy when you tell someone, oh, I need 6 months to close. It's what she's saying is absolutely normal in this market. But what are the risks in between those 6 months? After those 6 months, talk to us about, the bad. Obviously, there's a lot of good in it. What's the negatives?
The challenge is once you commit and buy the property, as long as you're under contract, you're fine. Yep. But if you do have a seller that's pretty pushy and they're like, nope, I need you to close in 30 days or whatever, you really, really, really need to do your diligence before you sign, because I have seen some things go completely sideways. I was actually part of a deal where we went ahead and closed on the property because we knew that if we could get it rezoned, the value was ridiculous. It was like something like 8x or something. It was ridiculous. But that was the gamble and we lost, right? The county came back and said, absolutely not. We're not going to change this to high density. You have to keep it as, I think at the time it was a 50-acre piece of land. It was right on the highway too. So we thought we had a really good shot, but nope. The most we could do was subdivide it into 10 acres, and that's as low as they were going to give us. So sure, we could take the time to get it rezoned, subdivide it into 10-acre parcels, but you still have to leave room for the road. You have to leave room for everything. So at the end, we could only do 4 10-acre parcels and a little bit larger than that. But the return on the cash for that just did not make sense. Fortunately, there was enough that we made our money back, but I think we made $10,000 on that deal. Where we were looking, it was not 10,000 what I was looking for.
That was not the 8x return you were looking for.
No, not even close. But you live and you learn. And so when we're in those situations now, I don't care how wonderful the deal looks. I want to make sure I at least get some preliminary approvals if we are looking to improve that property at all. And let me be very clear, that is not my model. I do not go and try to improve and subdivide. That's not my thing. I will partner with people who do that, but that is not my personal business model. So because we try to just stay within that contract space in our business model, really the risk to us comes in the form of the owner financing. So we talk screen your buyer. But if you think from our perspective, because we are not afraid of the asset, it's know your asset, know your asset, know your asset. Because if you really look at it, the worst that will happen
That you keep the asset
in an owner financing, well, in an owner financing situation, the worst that happens to me is that the borrower pays on time, every time for the life of that loan. I make the least amount of money when they do that.
True.
Right.
When everything
Yes.
goes well in there, and that's
Right. So if they pay early, it works out better for me. I can recapitalize and get into another loan that would start that amortization schedule all over again with my high interest. If they default, I get a property back, and hopefully it's been a couple of years. So now not only do I get the property back, but now I can resell it with appreciation. So really the biggest risk is not knowing the property that you're selling. It's easy, right? When you get a property, you wholesale it real quick, or you get owner financing real fast, it's no big deal. But if that buyer comes into your lot, they buy the property with owner financing, 6 months goes by, whatever plans they had for the property fall through, and they're like, you know what, I can't actually build a house because there's a creek that runs right through it, and there's no space on either side for this house. The county won't let me change the creek. Now I'm up a creek without a paddle, right? And they walk away from that loan. Okay, I've gotten 6 months, but now I have a piece of property and I know something negative about the property that you should be disclosing. We are good people here, people workers. So with that said, it really limits your ability to resale. So it's really about understanding what you have, what the limitations are, and the best way to do that, because I work all over the country, I have to have great partnerships with realtors who know their stuff, land realtors who know their stuff in their local markets.
Ooh, I love that. You touched on so many things. We're going to have to digest a little bit. So number one, I think you kind of hit it on the head with, something that we always talk about is you make your money in real estate when you buy, right? So know what you're buying before you buy it. Right? Is that accurate? Pretty much there is like, got to know your asset, right? Okay. And then number two, you said something about partnerships and having the right team. And we're all about teams here on real estate, right? So dig in a little bit more into that, and having the right realtor, right? Because we always talk about your cousin who rented that condo last week to her girlfriend. It might not be the perfect realtor here. Let's dig in a little bit there.
Exactly. So Hector, I don't forget who said this, but I heard it and I love it. Partnerships are rocket ships.
Ooh, I love that.
You can get into a great one or you can get into a really bad one. So exactly. So when I'm looking for boots on the ground, when I'm looking for a realtor, it's actually quite simple. I don't have MLS access to every single MLS across the country. So I just hop on Zillow. I'll go to Zillow and I'll filter go to the realtors and I'll filter for realtors who say that they are good with land. And I will call the top 10 and I'll have a phone conversation with each one of them, right? And it's really their job to sell me on their services. It's really cool just to check out their websites and see the latest sales that they've done, but it's another thing entirely to make sure that you've got a good match with the personality, the pace, the sense of urgency. I have worked with some realtors who are like sprinters, and that's just not my style. You'll email me, I'll get to you. Give me a minute. I'm over here dealing with my kids and I have a life.
Mommy duties.
Mommy duties, yes. So, and I've had some realtors that I've worked with that I can never get them on the phone. So it's really about finding, for me, a good personality fit. And my sense of urgency for, hey, the priority for this deal is to get it sold quickly. I'm very flexible on the price. I give them my top, my bottom parameters. We talk through that together. I'll actually, when I sign the listing agreement with them, I actually talk to them about a price drop strategy, and we set that the day that the property is listed. So you don't have to call me in 2 weeks and say, what do you want to do? It's like, no, look at the document. We know what we want to do. And a part with, finding really good partners, you have to pay them well, right? Do not skimp on your lawyers. Do not skimp on your title agents. Like they do good work, compensate them. So usually when I'm working with a real estate agent, I'll ask them what they want for what they normally charge. And then whatever that number is, I usually give them 1% more. And the reason I do that is because vacant land usually is at a lower price point than a house, right? So I want to make sure they can eat too. Aside from the starting low point, my priority, remember, is to sell the land fast, not to get top dollar. So if I'm asking them to keep cutting down my price, well, how are they going to eat? So I'll just say, yeah, go ahead and cut down the price. I'm going to take care of you with that extra percent. So I just want to make sure that our goals are aligned.
That makes perfect sense. So let's follow the strategy. You're looking for deals offline, you're locking them up, but then you're putting them on market.
Correct.
With a realtor. And so what does a typical realtor commission look like and most average throughout the country? And I know it's obviously different in every market, but what's the average that you see out there?
So I'm comfortable paying up to 10% for a realtor. But for, and back when I was doing sort of any kind of piece of land, 10% was not uncommon for these cheapo depot lots.
Okay.
Now that our focus has shifted a little bit more, $80,000, $100,000 lots, I am seeing my realtors coming in right at 6%.
Wow.
Yeah, for vacant land. So, and I again, if they say 6, I'm going to pay you 7 because we're not going to go for market value. But yeah, it is changing with the price points.
That's awesome. I mean, I haven't done land deals in a long time. The last time I did one was years ago, but yeah, it averaged around like 8-10%, at least here in Florida. And that's cool. I definitely can see your strategy behind, putting a bonus in front of them, like, hey, I'm gonna pay you a little extra than your other seller so that you could pay a little more attention to me. I'm gonna be on your better side. You're easier to deal with because you already have a game plan from day one. So you're starting with the end in mind, which I love. It's amazing. That's a good strategy. Obviously, you've been doing it for a while. You've learned some lessons along the way, right? It's not about squeezing every drop. It's about the velocity of money, the velocity of the deal.
Velocity of capital. That's it.
That's what I say. It's like, it's better to make 10 grand in a month than 30 in 6 months.
Right. Exactly.
That's so awesome.
Everybody can eat, right? Everybody can eat. So just keep the machine running.
So let me ask you this. A lot of the times when we talk about physical structures, real estate, right? We talk about the great tax benefit that comes along with that. Talk to us a little bit about tax strategy with land place.
Yeah, that's a good.
And again,
point.
Our CPA team. This is her personal experience.
Thank you.
Call your CPA.
Exactly. So for our flipping business, we do run into short-term capital gains just because they're flips, they're quick. And all of that is happening inside of our retail business that we have just set up. So all of the expenses that we have, that's really what's driving down our tax structure there on the business side. Now, for the owner financing that we're doing, let me take a step back. So we started this, maybe 3 years ago, we started this strategy. Every 4th deal that we do, we'll buy deal 1, deal 2, deal 3, all in our regular business account. Deal 4, I don't care how big it is, how much profit is in it. It's just the 4th deal that we do out of every 4 deals. It is purchased by our self-directed 401k Roth. So our Roth account gets under contract for the property for $0. The Roth account then sells the property and makes $30,000. And I have no contributions into my Roth account. So for those of you who are making too much money to open up a Roth, check out a back door, because you might not be able to make contributions, but once you have a Roth established, you can have a Roth with $5 in it. That's all it takes, because a contract is no money. And you can explode that Roth account with this strategy. And sometimes it's a little difficult to look at because my future self is like balling and I'm over here just, struggling.
I like that. Again, you're dealing with a bunch of traders here, so they very well understand IRAs and Roth accounts. And one of the strategies that we teach them is grab some of that capital, put some of that in a self-directed IRA.
Yes.
Go invest as an LP, go buy a piece of, a rental property.
Yes.
Whether it's Roth or standard, either which way, it's a sheltered account. And yes, it's for the future, but there's a ton of cool things you could do with it. You could borrow against it. You could grow your wealth.
Yes.
I mean, so many cool things that you could do with it. So that is awesome. So every fourth deal. And then, so you're limiting your tax liability there. And you always have the long-term cap gain. So it's not all short-term, only the quick flips, which, it is what it is. I always tell people I don't mind writing a check to the IRS because it means I kept some money in the bank, right? You don't pay them 100% until the day that they start doing 100% taxes. I'm cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously I couple my stuff with, some depreciation and things like that. Right. So my tax liability is minimal, but that's a great strategy. I love that.
Yeah. So I just want to piggyback off of that. So I do know, in fact, when I started in real estate, there was a lot of, I was strongly encouraged to use my retirement account to buy some rentals for long-term appreciation, for cash flow. I don't do that anymore. So in my retirement account, as I just explained in my Roth, I'll buy land and flip it for my quick money. So I avoid capital gains completely, avoid tax liability forever. Yeah. But the notes that I'm buying from other investors, any cash that I'm turning fast in my Roth account, I'll take that cash and I buy notes rather than buying property. And the reason for that is because when you buy a mortgage, whether it's backed by land, a hard asset, a structure, or even a note on a car. I've done that as well. I've given some people some money so they can buy a box truck and get their Amazon business started. So either way, it all works out. But that income, your interest income, is taxed as ordinary income. So it's not super beneficial for me to have a whole bunch of notes outside of my retirement account. So that's why my retirement account is so packed full of notes. I'm avoiding all those taxes. Nice. But any extra cash that I have outside of my retirement accounts, I put that money into syndications, because again, I don't do multifamily anymore. But from my business, where I am incurring all that liability, I take that excess capital, put that into syndications so I can take advantage of depreciation. So whether you are doing a syndication, whether you are buying a rental property, whether you are doing your own multifamily deal, it is in your best interest. If you have the cash, do it outside of your retirement accounts, because what's the point of getting tax benefits in an account that's not taxed?
Yep. I love that. Then you get to take advantage of the syndicator's work. You get a portion of that depreciation 100% passively.
Exactly. Rocket ships.
Yes, rocket ships. I love it. Thank you so much, Jansen. This has been mind-blowing.
Yes.
2 final questions. We're running that on the last few minutes here. 2 final questions. Number 1, what kind of deposits do you do on these deals, on these land deals?
Deposits?
Yes, when you write a contract with a seller.
We don't do that.
I love she's like, what's a deposit?
So there's no escrow money on a contract.
Earnest money deposit? No, I'm sorry. And our standard answer is, listen, we're buying and selling multiple properties per month in our business so that we can honor our obligations to all of the sellers the way that we want to honor our obligation to you. We have to remain as liquid as possible. So I'm sorry, that's not in our policy.
Wow, that's amazing. So so you really are like really limited on the risk that you have with this strategy.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest risk is the time that you invest in finding these deals, really is the risk on time.
Yeah. Time and money, mailers, text messages, the cold calling, it's not cheap, but it's a cost of doing business. And as long as the benefits outweigh the costs, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I love it. Actually, you just prompted another question. I only have one more, but now you just, okay. So are you doing these cold callings yourself? Do you have a team, these
No.
mailers? How does touch a little bit on that?
No, I don't do any of the cold calling. That's all on my husband on the acquisition side. So I apologize. I don't even know the company that we use, but that's on him. Listen, Hector, we're passive people, right? I don't want any part of that. Even for my rental properties that I have, I've got management. Like, don't call me unless it's more than like $1,000. Like, leave me alone.
Yes, I love it. Partnerships are rocket ships.
That's
you
right.
put the right people in place. You focus on what your energy is best suited for, where you're an expert at, and let everyone else do their job. And yes, share the wealth. Just make sure everybody eats.
Yes.
I love it. All right. So last question. Is there any, actually two more. What do we miss? Any question that we should have asked that we haven't asked?
I love that question. And I don't know. I've had a blast here. So yeah, if you want to know more, you can hit me up at any time. But no, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself.
All right, guys, make sure you reach out. Private Money Institute. This is all her Facebook and all the social media. So good at social media. I'm getting there. One day I'll learn to be on social media.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What's next for you, Jansen? Talk to me. What do you got cooking?
So I am working on something. I don't really want to share it publicly yet. But I will say, listen, if you are interested in some passive income from land notes, please reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you about that. But really what's next for me at the moment is Mexico. So I am just trying to, last year we spent a month in Colombia, and this year my kids voted for Mexico. So at the end of this month, we're going to go enjoy some Cancun for 1 week and then hop down to Merida for a couple of weeks and live the local life.
Nice.
Wow. The life of a real estate guru. Love it. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
Mexico this year. All right. Next year, we're going to have you back on and see where you go next year. Because
exactly. Portugal, fingers crossed.
Jansen, thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity, your wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure everyone here enjoyed themselves. If anybody has any questions, please pop it in the chat before she takes off. If not, reach out to her via email, via social media.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good one. Happy Friday.
And with this, let's let you guys go. All right. So anything, please like, subscribe. If you're in YouTube, the algorithm loves it when you guys click like and subscribe. If not, then nobody can see us and we can do this thing no more. You know how it goes. All right. Any questions, any comments? We are reallifetraining.com/RE. That's where we live. That's where you're going to find all the previous videos. You're going to find all our information, all our contact info. You can reach out to us at realestate@reallifetraining.com as well. Furthermore, again, we're going super trendy now with these QR codes. So scan the QR codes. You're going to get to Louis. You're going to get to Hector. We are there. We can answer any questions. We can do whatever you guys need. If you have any topics that you want us to cover, if you have any questions, we talk with what? We talk to investors, we talk to lenders, we talk to the landlady. The only thing I can think land was good for is just writing ATVs. Look at that. So any topics you guys want us to cover, feel free to send them out. Okay, that's what we're here for. And again, like, subscribe it, and see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thanks everybody for watching. Again, if you are on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment. And thank you everybody for being here. Happy Friday. Love y'all.